Hello and welcome to season 4 of oNiD in 2025. This is the Hound British Stock Cars series on Assetto course. Welcome to our latest Tuesday installment, and we're kicking off things here at the wonderful Croft circuit. Shortened season this time, down to 6 rounds. You can see the calendar, different formats throughout the season as well. We've a feature format this evening. We'll see a sprint format next week, and we'll also have an endurance race for round 4 of our season. We'll get into those a little bit later. But joining me for this series once again, it is the wonderful Aidan Hard. How are you doing, Aidan?
God, you got to put with me for another 6 weeks. Feel sorry for you. Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Season 4 of 2025. 25, yeah. So that's the year. Getting underway here at Croft. And yes, the ice don't deceive you. A very tight, twisty track with cars that have little to no downforce. It's all going to be in the grip they can generate from the big, wide tyres that these cars have. It's going to be interesting. Also with safety cars as well when live race stewarding, which is, well, live race safety carring, should I say, not stewarding, post-race stewarding. But 2 drivers in the server will be our safety cars this evening, and you may see them come out on track if warranted. We don't want to see it, but you never know, it might happen.
Well, we'll see them guiding our drivers to a rolling start, so we will.
Yes.
But yes, we have manual rolling starts in this series. Potential for safety cars. We'll not see too many of them in our shorter sprint races, our 20-minute races, but we will see them in our longer 40-minute races. Feature format for tonight. We have a 10-minute qualifying session that's just getting started. That will set the grid for a 20-minute sprint race. We will then have, to swap servers, we'll have a 5-minute qualifying session that will set the grid for our 40-minute feature race. There will be one mandatory pit stop. Drivers will have the option to change tyres, but it will cost them about an extra 9 seconds, overtaking 1 litre of fuel, which is mandatory. But yes, we are getting away for the start of qualifying, and first driver to be setting a lap is going to be James Pavot, who will take us for our first tour around the Croft circuit.
Down into the first turn, very high speed, and turn 2 and 3 quickly follows. This is where you need a downforce in a normal car, but these cars don't have that. Instead, they have plenty of mechanical grip with those wide slick tyres that go through the Stockcar, and it's a bit flat out more for a little while until we get down the circuit. Long right-hander coming up for the going into the second sector. On the brakes they go, skirting around on the left foot. Manages to get it slowed down. Just James gets the power back down, and it's full throttle essentially all the way down. Maybe a little bit of lift in this. No, completely flat left and right. Oh, a little bit of lift there actually. I stand corrected. In fourth gear, and it goes down into what is a little kick to the right, and then a very long right-hander, deceptively long in the first instance. Then you get that little kink as you go through down into the final section. Now this is where the car's really going to be tested. Sling into left on the brakes, or lift a little bit down to second, and then up back on the brakes again, back down for the final hairpin. This is where the mechanical grip of these cars will come into effect. At lower speed, corners will potentially favour these guys, and they're not too skirty on the rear end as they go to the start finish. It will be a 1 minute 26.298 if my eyes aren't failing me, if I'm reading that correctly.
Is indeed. Let's have a little further back over street, coming out of the final corner up towards the line. Their first lap is going to be a 1:27.9. Currently puts him into P5, but we're still seeing a lot of times coming. Let's go with Stevie Bean, who's one of the last cars to leave the pit, and to make sure they've got some free air coming to the back end for the circuit now.
It is, as we said, it's pretty much flat through here. Maybe a little bit of lift, as we saw there. Just about keeping it in within the white lines as he then goes down into this double right-hander. Keeps it nice and stable. Bit of a rear end stepping out on acceleration, but goes up nicely. Will then go into Another left-right-hander chicane of sorts, a very long left-hander followed by a very quick right-hander. And on the brakes we go very shortly for the final hairpin. There it is. Shifting down to first, control the throttle, gets squirrely on power as those two rear tyres attempts to chuck down all the power these goofy engines are throwing out of the rear end, and it'll be an invalid lap.
Yeah,
No time on board yet.
Yeah, Friesen, meanwhile, iRacing, top of the standings, improves on their this lap at 125.6, being followed by Dondlo, who's actually resetting back to the pits. They're 3.5 tenths further back. Let's see anyone else improving. Zach Silver was on improvement, but looks like they had a moment at the final corner. Come up to line. They will still improve 127.7, but maybe left some time on the table. Let's have a look at Ben Myatt as they're making their way towards the back end of the circuit. Good bit cleaner for themselves as well. Currently 4 seconds off the pace, but I think they're still winding up, still getting into the rhythm for this session. We're already halfway through this 10-minute qualifying session. It does go by quite quickly. We'll go by even quicker when we get to the 5-minute session for the second and main race. Looks like Ben might be backing up here a little bit to try and create a further gap to the car in front of them. That is Pavot. But cross line now for Ben. Still improvement here. Looks like they invalidated the time in the middle sector, in fact, so they won't be improving.
Not a great effort from them. They'll want to improve, and I'm sure they will. Ash Hill will follow down into... Oh, we won't follow him. As he goes off wide, and that's going to be reset from pits. That was an inadvertent mistake there. Oh, another car going very wide. Oh, and this is to see Toscano having an incident as well. These guys are fighting to keep these cars on the circuit, no doubt, and he gets right in the way of another driver. Probably moves out of the way. Ben Asper now in 14th. Goes up through. Is the he goes wide as well. These guys are struggling with this double right-hander towards the tail end of the lap. That's the third or fourth car we've seen in very recent times here go wide and almost take it to the grass. In fact, actually someone going to the grass. Obviously a bit of a challenge for these guys as they figure it all out, but for now, 3 and a bit minutes to go for these guys. That may be just about enough time, setting maybe 2 or 3 more laps if they're lucky.
Yeah, I have the final corner for Pavot. They've got 2 purple sectors so far. So can they hold on in the final sector? It's where the track's at its most technical, and they do indeed a 10th clear at the top of the timesheets. And they'll have time for another couple of laps.
Oh, there's a car
spinning in front of them, making things a little bit awkward. But that's good for Friesen, who's taken back the purple first sector. Might have a bit of slipstream here to help them, but could be a driver that gets in their way. That is Toscano in front of them. And Toscano does pull off to the side. That's Friesen continue with their lap into this double right-hander. Has got the car slowed down for it, using all of the curb between the two of them. And we'll use the curb again. Actually stays off the curb on the exit of the second. Now towards the final sector where the track gets slower and more technical. A little bit wide through the left-hander. Leaves them on a tight line through the right-hander. But it's still a purple middle sector. They just need to hook up these final few corners. The hairpin now, put the power down and power their way up to the line. Purple first, purple second, and purple final sector. They'll put themselves nearly 4 tenths clear at the top of the timesheets once more.
Pavot's gone back to the pits. He's not going to have enough time to get in another lap unless he goes out now, but I don't think he is. He's going to stay there. And second's going to be the best he's going to get for this first race of the evening. Dondolo, Hein all out on the circuit, setting their lap times. There's Ash Hill will jump to an 8th personal best for Sector 1. See what you can do for Sector 2. That would roughly, if you can keep the things the way they are, that'll put him 3rd if you can hold this pace. Sector 1 though, not all the lap, it needs to line up everything to get it right to get a good time out of this, so we'll just wait a moment. It's going to come to the Sector 2 beam any second. If actually, he might have already passed it. He's not giving us a time. We'll see what happens. Oh, there's a second. It's now total of 1 second. So not too bad. That'll be its top 10 territory. We've got one more corner to go. A very odd sector 2 timing being there, but we'll go with it and we'll go to the line. That should be valid. And it's up to P6.
It does get the time in. We've seen a lot of invalid laps so far. Friese was going for another lap, got a new purple first sector, but then didn't improve in, then returned to pits. Toscano now on a lap, puts themselves up to 8th position. So they have. Another thing we haven't mentioned is we get to the end of qualifying session. We still have our Pro and Am classes from the minis. A couple of drivers have moved around, but we still have the fights between those two classes. And the way you can distinguish in who's in Pro and who's in Am is look to the top of the window, the banner there. If it has a red stripe, like Kanoji does here, then they are within the Am's class. If there is no red stripe, then they are in the Pro class. So Kanoji, a lot of people in the pit lane already, as the time has ran out for the session. Into the final sector now for Kanoji. It's 2 personal best sectors so far. They only need a few thousand to get themselves in front of Christian Overstreet, but can they bump themselves a little further up? Get them further up on the grid. Cross the line now. We'll go up to P7 with their final lap. That's a good effort from them. We still have some drivers on laps, not many people improving. Alex Wood that we come to now in personal best middle sector, and it's enough to bump them up to 13th ahead of Ben Myatt. Donlo on a lap, also improving in the middle sector. Purple in the final sector. It's enough to displace Pavot for the front row.
It's all Fraser's game now, 0.3 of a second ahead of anyone else. As it stands, pole position is likely to be his. Only a couple of cars maybe I would upset them. Ben Beam, another Ben for the grid. Ben Beamers is not going to be one of those drivers. Will Gus Peters be? I think he's just finished a lap.
Gus Peters invalidated his last lap, so it'll be Lord Friese that is our pole sitter for the first race. And then we will have Dondolo on the second place. We'll be alongside when we get to our rolling start. Yeah, quite big spread across the grid though, looking to that midfield from Peters down to Stevie B, and about 4/10 separating 6 drivers there. I think we'll see some good battles throughout this race, especially when we get to the feature race, and that strategy of whether to change tyres or not comes into play.
Yeah, absolutely. So, 20 minutes and 40, rolling start. What could go wrong here at Croft? Oh wait, there's a very tight turn 1. God help us all. We'll see what happens as we just wait for the server to chuck itself across, ready for the race session, and we'll get our answer to what will be the pecking order for what to expect this season. The only driver that is... Oh no, never mind, there was a driver out on circuit potentially, but they've been set back to the pits as we now jump to the race start. We wait for the server just to tick over, and then we'll get racing for the first time for Season 4 on AC.
Yes, we will. A couple of other little facts we haven't mentioned. We, much like the minis, we have grip progression on the server. I see, I think it was 97% at the start of the qualifying session. Tipped up to 98%, and no, that's not a full 1% jump. There is a decimal place in there, just we don't get to see that within the comms box. So the grip will gradually increase throughout the sessions. It'll be a little bit slower than what we've seen with the minis, but the grip will not be as low to begin with as was with minis. In upcoming races, we'll see fluctuation in temperatures So we will. So we can see some very cold days. At one point, the server during practice had a temperature of 4 degrees ambient, 8 degrees track temperature.
Ugh.
We were considering turning taking tire blankets off, but we decided against it. Probably a good reason. Or a good decision with how cold the track can get. And on the upper end, we might see around 28 degrees ambient, 39 degrees track temperature is some of the hottest settings we will see for our season.
Indeed, absolutely. It looks like it is going to be an amazing race. And I'll speak to it in chat as well. And good lord, look at that. Ben22 Racing subscribing 50 months in a row. You show off. Thanks for joining. Wonderful to see you as we are going to go and get racing. And now, as we said, a bit different from our previous races. We'll see the 6 lights come on the screen. They'll go out, but they won't go racing. The safety car will exit the pit lane, or actually, no, they're actually on the grid, so they'll drive through the grid to lead the pack away for a rolling start. So a bit of anticlimax here. They're going to go racing. No, they're not. We're just going to hang fire for a second. We'll wait for race control to give the drivers instructions, and we'll shortly see the safety car drive through, which I believe is our wonderful friend, Rob Semenska, Racing Psycho, making a comeback for our AC Championships. Pleasure to have him back, along with Johnny Ashley as well. To drive a car with a bit more downforce, but definitely not at racing speeds, let's say.
Yeah, it is actually Johnny Ashley that is leading our field. Rob is in our backup safety car. And let's just get our grid back up. Seems like our car wasn't teleported to the pits, but so we'll get it in there. And I will see the field making their way round on this formation lap. And then we'll get racing for about 20 minutes. As Aaron said, it is quite tight through the first sector, through the turn 1 apex, then through the chicane that leads onto the back straight. Hopefully we will see everyone through cleanly. But it will be a little bit risky. Drivers will have to be careful, make sure they're leaving each other enough space.
Just noticed something. It's oddly dusk in the race server. Now these cars don't have headlights. They just have stickers. There's loads and loads of stickers on these cars. So it's an interesting observation. And a little bit dark. Daylight is there, but it's not completely there. To see what these guys can do with that. That's set in here at Croft. Not much longer to go. A couple of... Oh, guys, the car already off. And that is... I can't read that. Corpa. Or Kapaka, shall I say. Having an issue. He will rejoin the grid, I'm sure. But that's going to leave him out to dry a little bit, as you'll probably have to follow the backup safety car. As we are about to go racing. Safety car.
I think we might be going for an extra lap just because of what has gone on. So we'll say race technically begun, but we're still under safety car for a formation lap instant. And I'm sure second time's the charm. Yeah, we'll get racing. Don't worry, folks. A little bit of patience, but yeah, the action should still be good. One thing that will help the drivers with is the tyre wear. We do have 2 times tyre wear for the season, just to encourage those tyre swaps. The tyres in their first sort of 3 or 4 laps, they have really good grip, then they drop off. They lose about 20% wear, but then the rest of the tyre holds up really well. That 20% that we see in the first few laps is maybe about half the total tyre wear of the 40-minute feature race. So you know, that could be a great advantage. You know, if you're a driver that pits and or you're pitting sort of at the end of a safety car period, that extra grip could be very useful. But yeah, we'll have to see how strategy goes in that feature race. For now, we're not too worried about strategy, and yeah, we'll be too long before our drivers get away here. Hopefully a little bit more cleanly, but yeah, who knows what to expect when we get underway here in just a moment.
Absolutely. Bit of a false alarm for a restart there with that car spinning off and Overstreet's dropping down the order as well. He needs to be careful. Not sure if he's had to spin out. Yeah, I think he's just trading position. That's fine. Now it looks like safety car has started to pull a bit of a gap. As Johnny actually does indeed hit from the race lead.
See. Yep.
Party's in, safety car's in, they're side by side down the start straight. And we are away for round one, race one here at Croft for the British Stockcar Championship. Side by side down the start main straight they go. Lowell Fraser losing out. Jacob Hine actually making up positions. They're almost 3 wide. Going to turn one, they're door banging. As they figure out turn one, a couple go wide. As they all just about figure it all out. Fraser now slinging it back round the outside. Hill was ahead at one point, very marginally. Losing back down to third. Fraser leads away. Everyone looks to get away relatively well.
Yeah, Pavot got really good start from second, and actually falling down the order, Dondolo has had an issue, had been spun and is down in 13th place, just getting back in front of Ben Asker, and Ben Maya is going to follow through to drop Asker down to 15th place. But it's going to be a big recovery drive for Dondolo as Ben Beams got past Overstreet, but don't worry about Alex Wood, that's just a little timing issue, and we can see that's them. They're now trying to fight past Christian Overstreet, getting a little bump, I think, from Dondolo as they made their way over the curb. Dondolo with run now towards the left-hander, will get the move down the inside and takes 12th place. We have Kanoji off though through this section. Careful with the rejoin. They do nearly get in front, but that's a little tag, and that is Overstreet that has been tagged by one of the cars and has been spun round. Another car spun round, Capet car, butchering that, apologies, dropping down, but now through turn one, and Pavot has spun now out of turn one.
Oh god. This is lack of grip, lack of downforce, however you want to put it. That's a very interesting rejoin as well. Cutting out the majority of the circuit, but does indeed rejoin in somewhat of a safe manner. No traffic around him, and he's looking at again. Toscano dropping down the border as well.
Yeah, Toscano.
Oh, he's turned his car into a lawnmower as well. Oh dear. That grass is a lovely cut by these cars, really. But losing out, well, at least 6 positions now down to 12.
Yeah, it has been a very chaotic start. You can see a few people dropping down the order. Zach Silver, though, up 7 places, has had a good run so far. But down the inside goes Gus Peters, who's going to take that 4th place from them and will get the move done. And Zach Silver will be in 5th place, so I believe will still be top of the AMS as Dondolo gets past Ben Beams and Alex Wood, I believe teammate of Ben, also gets through and look to the inside for Ben Myatt in the background. Not quite close enough to make the move there, but piling the pressure on as they make their way through the 3rd sector once more.
Yeah, lovely move from Gus Peters, Ben 22 in Twitch chat. Indeed it was. A bit of a chaotic couple. That's the unexpected extra lap of safety car, but 14 minutes to go. Everyone looks to relatively just got into a bit of a rhythm as a movement outside. Capet car thinking about making a move on Myatt, not making it work in turn one. However, I've heard of Myatt. Toscano has a bit of an issue running wide. It's not enough for Ben to close up and make a move.
Drivers flirting with the grass on the outside of the chicane as they come onto the back straight. Important to get a good run here. Could be a potential overtaking opportunity as we go through the race, but Stockcar not quite close enough on this opportunity. Might get a good run through the S's. Ben running out wide there, but a big slide from Stockcar as they try and hold the car on the track. But Ben a little bit wide there, just outbraking themselves. Very difficult braking zone, but outbraking them much more is Toscano. Takes a little trip across the grass, loses 2 places, and Kanoji, who has had a trip through pit lane, is going to try and make that 3 places. And Ben Asker has also found themselves going wide at that corner, but a little bit of contact, and sliding off into the grass is Kanoji. They'll get going again, but they'll be behind Overstreet down in 15th position.
Oh, Kanoji. The force was not strong on that one. I'm sorry. I love making that a joke. I'm a nerd. Kanoji. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, have I? Right on tail, Zach Silver now. Both these drivers quite frequent race numbers here. Now we need them here for another season of racing. However, Zach Silver's got a bit of a poor run. That's going to give Pavo a reason to try around the outside. Is there going to be corners inside? No, there isn't. He gets to move done and dusted before the braking zone. As we see Stephen Bain. Oh, Stevie Bain. Admin favourite. Spun round. Awaiting his elusive win. Here on AC. It's not going to be today. Oh, not going to be this race at the very least. I do not think. It's just only 12 minutes to go. Oh, okay. We've cast him.
Yeah, I think the problem, we've got quite high track attempts, and these tires very susceptible to overheating. You think that's what Stevie has done, and is struggling to get going again. And we'll drop down the order. But we go back up to podium fight. Friese managing to stay out of trouble so far, is now 5.5 seconds out in the lead. Ashhill, though, is being hunted down by Jacob Hine as they fight for the final podium position. So we have a little look back. Ben Myatt being hung out to dry, entering the final sector, with Stockcar getting the move done, and Toscano is now going to try and get past after a little bit of contact earlier on. It's going to be side by side towards T1. Ben Myatt on the inside, Toscano on the outside. Who's going to be bravest on the brakes? And Toscano just runs it in too deep, gets into the gravel. I'll have to wait, make sure they've got a bit of space, which they do now. But yeah, maybe a little bit ambitious going around the outside there into T1.
The cheeky over-under at that final hairpin made it work to get alongside, but going outside turn 1. That's risky business. And yes, indeed, first time chat for Simon Williams. It is a separate course though. That was a race on a Tuesday with various different features and mods. These being these stock cars. Croft as well. All free to download and all widely available. Just showing that AC can still hold its own again in the world of sim racing. And owners, let's say, we do love a good AC league.
Indeed, offers some great variety. This 4-car train being headed by Ben Beams. Stockcar trying to close up as Ben might start to drop back a little bit. Overstreet was on the tail end, but has also dropped back through this tricky final sector. As Stevie B and Ben Asker, I think, both making mistakes, and it's going to be another pirouette for Stevie B. He's continuing to struggle, and Ben Beams is now spun at T1, so is Stockcar. And trying to avoid, I believe that's Overstreet, who also took to the gravel a bit, and Pivot with issues, I think, as they were trying to pass Zach Silver.
Oh dear lord. Well, I said everything's calmed down. Obviously not. As these guys still fight away. Hard fighting, but a lot of competition here as well, I'm sure. They do have a little bit of contact. Oh, that's a car facing wrong like Stevie Bain again. Bad to work for Stevie. That's a really awkward position to rejoin as well.
Yeah, Stevie has just overheated those rear tires with the temperatures that we have for this race. Just not able to cool the tires down, get the grip, get the balance back again. But we come back to this battle for second place. Ashhill, Jacob Hine, just 1,000th of a second between their last lap times in favour of Ashhill. Seems like Jacob might be the slightly quicker one, but struggling to make a move past these Euro NASCAR's very big cars. And the British circuits we're going to don't often have a lot of spaces. Go make overtaking tricky, but Jacob, with enough of a run, sends it to the inside under braking and will get the move done. Can Ashhill come with a cutback? They're going to get themselves alongside as they come towards the flat out kinks.
Oh, give each other space.
Through now, the double right-hander, rear end sliding for Ashhill. There was able to slow the car down before going into the back of Jacob. But these two fighting, look at that 10-second lead for Friese already. 7.5 minutes left in this race. Can Ashhill respond at a little further back? Dondolo after lap 1 instant, making their comeback up to the back of Zach Silver, trying to pass for P5. Zach out wide will cover the inside for the final hairpin. Dondolo, will they go for a cutback here? They will try to. Both of them trying to put the car down as they now head towards turn 1. Dondolo slots back into line, will take a bit more slipstream and then look to the inside of T1. Will they commit to a move? No, they're going to hold back for now. Try and go for a move at a different point. You can see the different lines, how much of the track width on the exit of T1 they're using in different lines through here as they head towards the chicane. Slide there for Zach Silver. It's going to give an opportunity to Dondolo. Tucks into slipstream. Zach holding the right-hand side, which will be the inside for the upcoming right-hander, which means Dondolo is going to have to try and go round the outside. Late on the brakes, draws himself alongside, but not able to hang it the long way around. Into the S's now. Dondolo looking every which way they can to try and get through. You can see they're closing. Difficult to make a move here. Zach again just covers off the inside. Will get the car slowed down. Doesn't run wide as we've seen from a few people this race. I'm just saying how difficult it can be to make moves here.
Yeah, the cars with very little downforce. Any good grip they have is mechanical, so the slow speed cars are relatively okay, but anything high speed it starts to skirt around. You've got to be careful with the right foot, and you've also got to be careful with the left foot as well, as Dondolo almost very almost makes contact with Zach Silver for in that final hairpin.
Yeah, and in the background, James Pavot, personal best lap, 2 seconds quicker than Dondolo. They're going to make this a three-way fight, which will just make it ever more difficult for Dondolo to pass Zach Silver. They'll not just have to worry about attacking, they'll have to worry about defending as well. Onto the back straight once again. Dondolo closing in again with the slipstream. Zach holding the inside. Dondolo not committing for a move. They'll wiggle from Zach as they got to the apex, and that allows Dondolo to be even closer on the exit. But where will Dondolo go? Not a lot of space as they come through the sweeping corners of this back section of Croft.
Oh. I see these cars go through that section, you think, how the hell are they sticking to this? It's absolutely insane. They make it work. I'm sure it's a lot more sketchier than it is in the car that we watch from the outside of it. But for now, it is a bit of a silver train that's forming. He's got a couple of carriages in tow.
Yeah, Pavo's certainly onto the back of this battle now. And speaking of those sort of that sweepers through back end, just imagine when we double the fuel load for the second race and have even more worn tires for the drivers. It'll be that bit sketchier, but Pavot now with a run is trying to put the pressure on, is looking to the inside of Dondolo. They're going to try and commit to the move, but Dondolo just get themselves back in front. But look at that, Silver already pulls a second immediately, as Dondolo has to focus on defending from Pavot.
Yes, I love this. This battle is going to give him the breathing space he needs for the final 3.5 minutes. He's going to be looking at his rearview mirror going, thank you, Lord, for that battle, because I definitely needed some help. they were catching, and now they're going to start swabbling between each other. He's going to be able to skirt away.
High speed corners. Just carrying a little bit more speed. Saint had to take a lift on the trace, lifting through the final right-hander for heavy onto the brakes. Is actually closing up to Zach Silver once again.
Oh, that respite didn't last long enough for Zach then, did it? Fourth position. Because now he's got that car right in the back of his tail once more. To and fro from the cars behind, and for the final 3 minutes. Closest battle we have on track actually for 5th, 6th and 7th. Everyone else is relatively spread out, not near enough, not near each other to pose a threat as of yet. Still 2.5 minutes left, anything can happen, but for now we're keeping our eyes on this midfield battle.
And this is our closest battle on circuit. Time is running out, 2.5 minutes to go. Can Dondolo or Pavot get up ahead of Zach Silver? Or are they just going to fight each other for P6? Out now, coming to down the back straight. Dondolo again gets alongside, but again it's the outside as Zach defends it. The inside is going to hang it the long way round here. Can they get the power down? Can they get the traction? A little bit of a door bang as they head towards the sweeping corners. Side by side now. Has to run a little bit wide. I think Zach had a twitch in the middle of the right-hander. That's given Pavot an opportunity to get to the inside. Pavot over the curb, though, has to back out of it. Will take the place on Dondolo. But Zach Silver's still at the head of this train.
He's holding them up, and he's holding position, quite rightfully so. He has every right to defend that 5th position, especially if there are cars faster than behind. He can absolutely fight tooth and nail for it, no issue at all. That's going to be getting frustrating for Pavot. And Dondolo's contact!
A little bit of a concertina as they were passing a lapped car there.
Car, yeah.
And that car's actually pushed Pavot onto the grass. That is Ben Asker getting in the way of this fight for P5. Hopefully we'll let the cars through as they head into and through T1. A little bit wide there for Pavot, nearly got into the gravel. That's now all 3 of these cars through.
That's kind of nullified this battle for at least this lap. They may get to the line. There's a car spinning, and that is Kanoji.
Just got past Ben Beams, but then loses the rear end at the very next corner and spins round. That is the leader, by the way. We haven't talked much about them as they've been dominantly leading the way, kept it clean, and will be starting one more final lap as they go through the hairpin onto the start-finish straight. 15-second lead now. Let's go back. Pavot now putting the pressure on Zach Silver, having got past Dondolo after their field attempt to get themselves up to P5 into final sector. They'll have one more lap. Pavot looking to the inside, but Zach Silver just shutting the door. Pavot goes wide through the hairpin. That allows Dondolo to get to the inside, but Pavot will have the momentum on the exit, will hold on to P6. Is it enough to get alongside into T1 on Zach Silver? Is thinking about a move, but isn't close enough to get done under braking.
He's got to be so careful now. He's got a car behind him, also wanted the position, who was previously ahead of him. Any move he makes for 5th position has to be decisive, so he doesn't leave himself vulnerable to attack from the car behind.
Looking to the inside, has Pavot got to the inside? He sends it in under braking, but he's way too deep on the brakes into the runoff, and that's going to allow Dondolo back up to P6. It was a last-ditch effort from Pavot, but they just threw away one place. Zach Silver, of course, in the AM class, Pavot and Dondolo in the Pro class, so maybe a little bit too risky there from Pavot. Maybe they'll be regretting that. But out of the final corner now to dominate the first race of the evening. Fraser will come across the line to win here at the first round of the SimHound British Stock Car Series. Jacob Hine, after fighting up past Ash Hill will take a second place as Ash Hill rounds out the podium. Gus Peters will take a P4, and Zach Silver leading the AMS class under tremendous pressure in the second half of the race, being attacked by Dondolo and Pavot, will withstand the pressure and take a P5 overall. Dondolo will take P6. Pavot will have to sell for P7 after running wide at that last ditch effort to get past Zach Silver.
Pavot was maybe a bit too decisive as he tried to make a move in that second sector. Probably hurt him more. Look at his wounds, but I'm sure he'll be back for race 2.
Yeah, Alex Wood comes across the line to take P8. Stockcar, who was involved in that that midfield tussle, will take P9. Toscano will be the last of our top 10 finishers ahead of Ben Myatt in P11. Before we have Chris Overstreet taking P12. Ben Beams in 13th and will be last of our finishers on the lead lap, with Kanoji, Ben Asker and Stevie Bean finishing a lap down. Very chaotic race to get started, but some great racing action in amongst it.
Yes, absolutely. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's do it all over again for the next 40-minute feature race, enforced with a pit stop strategy will come into play for sure, especially with tyre wear being at ×2 essentially. We'll see what happens with pit stops and who does and doesn't take tyres. Who will try and make the tyres last the full 40 minutes? Fuel will be fine, we know that. It's a question of the tyres. We'll see what happens.
It is indeed. So we will now have a little server swap before we get going again for our second race, our feature race of the first round.
Just very quickly, thank you very much for the follow, JMet95. Welcome to the community. First week of our AC League here. First of 6 rounds with the British Stockcar Championship. We're about to go into race 2. Folks, if you haven't seen already, it is oNiD Community Racing that organises and runs these leagues. Not only on Tuesday night, we have a range of other leagues as well. We'll touch upon that a little bit later on. But if you do want to get involved, come and say hi to us. It's discord.gg/oNiD Community Racing. Put that into your Tracer web browser. It'll take you straight to our Discord. Go join Discord. Have a look what's going on. And also check us out on SimGrid as well. Our wonderful many partners here at oNiD, who are all part of bringing you some free-to-race leagues here on a Tuesday.
Yeah, so it won't be too long before we get going now for our second qualifying session, but we would just have a little moment to relax, for drivers to calm down, to settle themselves down after a difficult first race for some. But yeah, will be enjoyable. Second qualifying session coming up. Will only be 5 minutes this time, so drivers will have to get their laps in.
It's pretty much only a 2-shot qualifying, really. 2 laps and that's it, and then you're all done. That's going to be. Let me shake up the order a little. We have seen it shake up the order previously in AC, especially with last season our Mini Coopers. But we'll see who can get back on top for race 2. I'm just very politely going to get some water. Back in a minute.
Yes, so as said, we are just waiting for that second server to go up. While we wait for that, let's actually talk a little bit more about our upcoming calendar for the season. Of course, we are here at Croft for the first round, or feature round. 2 races, 10-minute qualifying session, setting the grid for our 20-minute race, which we just had. Then we now have a 5-minute qualifying session that will set the grid for a 40-minute feature race. As Ada mentioned, there will be mandatory pit stop. That must be taken. Only 1 litre of fuel is mandated. but um, the drivers will have the option to change tyres. Will cost them about 9 seconds in the pit stop. They'll lose a bit of track position most likely from it, but will the fresh rubber be worth it? Of course, they'll be able to refill a bit more fuel in that time, run a little bit lighter in the first half of the race, so they'll get a benefit there. For sprint rounds, we have, I should say, our feature rounds coming up this season, our Croft, Donington, and our final at Brands Hatch GP. Our sprint rounds, we will have an 8-minute qualifying session start the evening and set the grid for our first 20-minute sprint race. But then we will have a 4-minute qualifying session that sets the grid for our second 20-minute race. It'll be another 20-minute race there. And our third race of the sprint round will be a third 20-minute race and will be a reverse grid. So we will have 2 reverse grid races, one at Castlecombe next week, one at Thruxton for our penultimate round. They should thoroughly be entertaining. We've seen how entertaining they were for our minis last season with these cars and how difficult it can be to pass. It will be very interesting when we get to those rounds. And we also thrown in, just to spice things up, we have an endurance race, our 4th round of the season at 2005 Silverstone, running the historic Grand Prix. That means sort of faster layout through the Vale and Abbey chicanes, keeping the track fast and flowing. Should hopefully maybe present a couple of opportunities for passing, maybe make things a bit more difficult on the tyres with a couple of more high-speed corners. But yeah, that'll be a single 80-minute race with a 10-minute qualifying session setting the grid for it. No enforcements when it comes to pit strategy. It is purely up to how the drivers think is their fastest way to get from start to finish. But of course, safety cars playing into that could shake things up as well. So yeah, that is our schedule for this season. Should be very interesting, very exciting, especially as we have different weather, different temperatures. You know, some weeks will have the server will be very cold and might where the tires probably will be quite happy over the full race distances, but then sometimes it could be very hot. Could see tires overheating, make it a bit difficult, and maybe encourage drivers to swap out their tire sets, get some new tires, and try and push on. We're just having a couple of technical issues with our server that is delaying us slightly, but it shouldn't be too long before we get going again. So do just bear with us for a moment, folks. We will be back with our qualifying for a feature race fairly soon here at Croft.
Indeed, we will. Let's say a couple of technical issues. What's AC without a couple of technical issues, Scotty? I do wonder.
Yeah,
just changing of the servers, aren't we? Just waiting for that server to be launched, and then we can get going for what is essentially going to be 2 laps, we reckon, 2-lap quali. If people are lucky, maybe get 3 independent how quickly they're out the pit lane.
Yeah, potentially 3 laps. What we're seeing lap times down in the 1:25s. We have just had a little bit of course, with the server restarting, conditions have changed. We'll be able to switch to live pictures in a moment, but just to let you know what server is loaded in with, track grip back down to 97.0%. We've seen it at over 99.5% at the end of race 1, so drivers will have to reacclimatize to that, and I do have a 5-minute warm-up session to help with that. Ambient and track temperatures have come down a little bit. Ambient is down to 22 degrees Celsius. That's down at 4 degrees from the first race. Track temp down to 28 degrees. So that is down, I believe, 8 degrees. So that should help the tyres from overheating a little bit, but that's still fairly on the warm side. We can't see much cooler tyres for the season, throughout the season. So it'll be interesting to see what the drivers do. We're now into server as the drivers doing some laps, reacclimatizing themselves with the current track conditions. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much if the order changes compared to the first qualifying race. Now that conditions have changed ever so slightly.
Indeed, a bit more cool, a bit more helpful for those drivers who are struggling with overheating. But we'll see what they do regardless. As we said, 40-minute qualifying. Sorry, 40. Sorry, say that again. Sorry, 40-minute race. The tyres will be under a bit more stress. Will it be worth sacrificing that 9 odd seconds worth of pit time for a set of new 4 tyres? We shall see what people decide to do. We'll always keep track of it as best we can. As we said, cars now out on circuit, I believe. As we said, that's just for our warm-up. So a chance for people to reacclimatise, and we will then shortly see them back out in anger to try and set the fastest lap time for the grid position for this second grid.
Drivers getting themselves back up to speed. We only have a couple of minutes left of warm-up.
Ben in chat confirming what we all thought. Ben said server did a silly. All fixed now, and blame the safety cars, says Ben22 Racing. That's the easiest thing to do, isn't it? Just blame the safety cars, you know. It's fine. Let's blame Johnny.
Yeah, blame Johnny. It's always
It's a brave thing to do. Yeah, it's a brave. He's the server owner, so let's be polite. But just blame him regardless. It's fine.
Or we could blame backup safety car driver Rob.
Nah, not as fun. Love you, Johnny.
Yeah, and this has actually just reminded me of something we haven't mentioned so far is fixed setups. Obviously, the Minis completely fixed setups. Drivers could not change anything. That included fuel, tire pressures. Not quite the case this week, this season, I should say. The setups are mostly fixed. All the suspension parameters, anti-roll bar alignments, all that is fixed. But tire pressures, fuel load, they have been opened to the drivers so they can set the car up for the temperatures, you know, making sure that, when they're out on track hot lapping, that their tire pressures are where they want them to be. Running on track, whether the track is as warm as 8 degrees or whether it is as warm as 39 degrees. The drivers will be shifting their tire pressures around a little bit to suit those conditions. And they also have fuel, as well as brake bias, just to try and help them with braking. To balance the car through the long braking zones or through the technical sections, make sure they don't lock up. And drivers, as with all of our series, are opened to ABS and TC, just helps them for more inexperienced drivers. These cars without the ABS and TC can be quite difficult, especially when you're in unideal grip conditions. Can just be very difficult or very easy to make a mistake. We kind of seen that with Stevie in the first race, struggling having overheated the rear tires. But we'll have to see now that the track is a little bit cooler if some people find themselves a little bit stronger. Qualifying is about to begin. As we said, only 5 minutes for this qualifying session, and so drivers will have to make sure they get a lap in. And we're now away for qualifying. Dundaloo, first car out on track for their out lap.
Early bird gets the worm, and that worm might be just in the form of an extra lap, potentially. Definitely two, but Dundaloo may be able to secure that third lap if he keeps on the track, if he gets the right times, if he does get the opportunity, he should get the third lap along with those behind him as in his immediate vicinity. For now, out lap, get the tyres warm, get everything warmed up correctly, and then start a flying lap for the first time. He will, no doubt, like all the drivers, just figure out where the grip is. The car will be nice and light, so it'll be quite easy to ascertain as to where the grip is and isn't on this circuit. Again, only 2 or 3% track grip lower than it was for a previous race, but that does make a difference. So maybe if that track grip percentage on the top right screen improves up to 98-99% by the end of qualifying, we may see some quicker lap times.
Yep, so now across the line for Dundaloo. Let's jump inboard with them, get their inputs up as they go on our first flying lap of the qualifying session. Jumping over the turn 1 curb, holding a tight line through the right-hander here towards chicane. A little bit of upset lock to counteract the end, throwing the car over both curbs through the chicane as they now make their way down the back straight. Now, towards the right-hander, get the braking in, get the car turned in, turns the car in quite early, hugs the inside, then gets the power on as they come towards this twisty section. Will they hold it flat out, taking a bit of grass through both the left and right-hander, and does hold it flat out, taking a bit of road on left-hander before throwing into right-hander all over the curb once again, heavy onto the brakes, bouncing over the curb a little bit. Right through the second apex, looking very clean. We see quite a few mistakes there in the first qualifying and race. Into left-hander past the second sector split point.
Need only one more braking and turnings to go. Jen Throttle gets the power down. Come to the line, it's going to be a 1 minute 25.6. We have seen quicker. Sorry, 1.250 shots again. My eyes are deceiving me. I do apologise. That is a very quick lap time, actually. We might not see quicker.
And we'll have to see 2 more laps for our drivers as they continue to get up speed. Zach Silver, having won the AM class in the first race, will put themselves P6 at the moment. Quite a few drivers invalidating laps so far. Let's see, Ben Myatt, one of our drivers on a valid lap. Coming through the final corner, not using a lot of the track width on the exit there. Let's see, Ben Beamer's up to P7, or will Ben Myatt go slots into P8? All the other drivers set an invalid opening lap, and in the case of Ben Myatt, this might be his final lap, so he'll want to keep this one clean. Fraser on their current lap has invalidated this lap in the opening sector. So let's look to someone who's improving. Ash Hill in a close battle with Jacob Hound. We've seen them, 2 of them fighting in the first race, and currently just a 1/4 of a tenth separates them on the grid in favour of Ash Hill at the moment. Both drivers improving in the first sector, not improving in the middle sector. Jacob Hine is going to be the first across the line. Can he improve? Lap time he will indeed, 26.322. So it's on the onus now. Can Ash Hill respond, improve themselves? No improvement for Ash Hill. They'll have 1 lap to try and set a better lap. Over straight now out of the final corner. Will just get to the line to start another flying lap. Or will they put themselves here? P7 on the board for them. Alex Wood will come up to line as time runs out. This will be their only lap, and it's an invalid lap, so no time on the board for Alex Wood. They'll be starting at the back of the field. Friesa, sorry, coming through the back end of the circuit, nearly getting onto the grass through the right-handers, not improving in the first sector, as Dondolo did get a sub 25-second lap time. Up towards the left-handers here. He'll be the next driver to cross a line. Sets an identical middle sector to Dondolo's middle sector, but is a little over a tenth down in the first sector. Needs to find the time. Wheel spinning out of the final hairpin. Can Fraser put themselves on the pole position? No, they cannot. They do not improve on their final lap. Stevie Bean comes across line, will go up to P11. Pivot comes across the line on their final lap, will not improve. Neither does Ash Hill. And let's see, Stockcar is on a lap, hasn't got a representative lap in so far, has invalidated their previous laps and has invalidated this lap as well. They'll not be improving from 13th on the grid. But yeah, very difficult session for drivers, as a lot of them invalidating laps, and has ultimately cost them in this short 5-minute qualifying session.
Indeed, catching out a few people there, isn't it, with the lack of time in the quali and not getting our laps in early. Is going to hurt a few of the drivers. However, it is Dondolo who takes that pole position for a second time this evening. Let's see if he can hold off the drivers charging at him. Turn 1 was interesting last time out. He survived it. But we'll see if he can survive it once more. We'll just wait for the server to chuck us off into the race state. Cars will grid up, and once again, similar to last time, we will be seeing the safety cars pull forward, lead the field away for yet another rolling start.
Yep, another rolling start. And if drivers have an issue like what we've seen in the first race on lap 1, like with Dondolo, who dropped down the order, they will have twice as much time to get through the order. Maybe some safety cars to help them out, and as well as some race strategy, that mandatory pit stop helping them out as well. And we're just waiting for the session to tick over so we can get ready for our rolling start. A couple of minutes now until we get underway for the formation lap. But yeah, let's try and get the grid order back up so that we can see who will be starting where, and have a look at sort of who's had a bit of a poor qualifying, who's maybe had a better qualifying than what we've been expecting. You can see Dondolo at the top trying to recover, trying to get some redemption after that poor first race. Freeze in second, not too bad. Pivot also going for a bit of redemption. Would have liked to have got themselves on the front row, but not quite able to. Jacob Hine beating out Ash Hill, which I'm sure they will be glad of, put themselves on the second row. Gus Peters into P6. Had a good first race, finished P4. So he'll be looking to see if he can get himself in front of Jacob Hine and Ash Hill to take another 4th place. Zach Silver in P7 will be looking to take advantage of any carnage in front of them like they did in the first race and to improve on that P7. Overstreet up in P8. They had a bit difficult first race, so they'll be hoping to hold on to that good position ahead of Ben Beamers. Ben Mai into the top 10 will be hoping to hold on to that, as well as some quick people behind them. Stevie Bean in P11, not getting a representative lap, and will be hoping to recover after a very difficult first race, hoping to avoid the same issues that they had in the first race. Kanoji in 12th. Stockcar will be hoping to improve from 13th. Ben Asker in 14th, and Alex Wood in 15th, and Toscano in 16th. Both of them will be hoping to improve. But yeah, rolling start here. We'll get underway for the formation lap very, very shortly. But yeah, love questions, love unknowns as we come into our first feature race of the British Stock Car Series.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a question. I think the big asking point of these drivers will be the tyres. Fuel tanks can last easy. You don't have to fuel, or don't have to refuel. You just tank it and then, be absolutely fine. Now, the question is, especially with the height of tyre wear being at 200% essentially times 2. See what happens, what people do. It is going to be a question, however, of if you do need to take tyres, how about the short fuel as well? Make the car light for 2 stints instead of having it filled for 140 minutes. A lot of questions that need answering, and I'm sure we'll get them this evening. As I said previously, we'll try and track everything the best we can. We are expecting tyres, if they are going to stop for a pit stop, will be about 9 seconds longer than the average pit stop, so we'll keep an eye on the data, try and figure out who has and hasn't taken tyres. But we do know it has to be a mandatory pit stop for this evening. There are 2 ways about it. These cars, these drivers are enforced to make a stop. So whether they go for the 1 litre splash and dash, which is 1 litre mandatory, or mandatory.
Yep, so we can see the left-hand side.
Pit stop I can as well,
Yeah, just saying, there's a couple of drivers, Ben Myatt, Ben Beamers, down towards the back end of the field. I think there was a little incident on the formation lap that has put them out of order. As you can see a couple of cars further back on the track map. I wonder if from cars being out of order if we'll make go for another formation lap, or whether having dropped to the back end of the field, they're going to have to deal with it. 3 final few corners now.
I think we're getting another safety car up. That safety car's not pulled away from the back. Nope, never mind. We're going racing.
It has pulled away, so we will be going racing here. Dondolo leads the field off of pole position, and Fraser on the outside on the front row, down towards T1. Well, our field keep it clean through here. We already have a car going sideways. That's Pavot dropping down the order, sliding off through the grass. As Overstreet, also with issues, facing the wrong way, I think has been collected by a couple of cars. A tap car, and as well as Overstreet.
Oh, that's a multi-car pile up, and that is never ever nice to see. And I think the cars are slowing down for a safety car.
Yeah, opening lap safety car. Unfortunately, but will save those people at the back of the field. As we look over the rear wing of Dondolo. Hopefully won't be too long of a safety car, but we will have a single file restart.
That should help things a little bit, especially through that tight turn one. It's essentially one line through. If you go side by side, you are risking an accident. And we saw it happen on the start of the race. You can get alongside if you have enough of the car alongside. At the start of the race, it's risky, and that risk didn't turn into a reward for those through turn 1.
Yeah, it just takes one bump from someone. As I believe we have Stacey, a couple of cars coming into the pits. Stevie being one of them coming in for their mandatory pit stops, as well as Pavot. So they'll drop to the back of the field, but they will have taken their mandatory pit stop. Ben Myatt coming in as well.
Right, then, get out of the way. We've guaranteed you'd be better starting the back of the grid and catch up with everyone. It makes sense. It's risky, and again, on a track where risk is name of the game, especially through some of these corners where you are kind of forced to make a move where it's not necessarily doable. It's just the nature of the circuit, a tight, twisty British park circuit.
Yeah, so we might be going to green now as our drivers have pitted, catch back up over street, also into the pits. Has fallen a bit further behind, probably repairing some damage as well as a new set of tyres. And looks like, not sure what we have happening here, but Dundle has passed safety car. Freezer is now lining it behind. Now Dundle's waiting for the safety car too.
I think you can notice he's made a mistake and passed the safety car. That's going to be a bit of a finger wagging from the stewards. Maybe just a bit of a... Let's give it a place back. Be joining the queue. I think the safety car is going to go in this lap potentially. It stays out. We're just waiting at one last car, isn't there? Car 17th position over the street to join it back to the grid.
Yeah, so we'll have one more lap, then we will likely get going again. As we see the Corvette safety car coming towards turn 1 with the pack following in line. Of course, big losers. Pavot obviously has taken their pit stop. Stevie Bain still towards the back of the field. Let's get those things. You can see people. Toscano's had a good start, made up a good few positions to take advantage of carnage. So is Alex Wood. Ben Asker, Kanochi taking advantage of those that have pitted, but will be under quite a bit of pressure as we head to the restart in by half a lap's time.
Wait with bated breath to see if those early pit stops are going to pay off for those people now down the back of the field. Absolutely safe for certain now that it will be this safety car will be in this lap. The pack is caught up with each other. They'll restart in single file, which will hopefully aid them being able to survive turn 1 for the first time of asking. Tyres should be retaining temperature at this speed. They will inevitably do a bit of weaving just to guarantee that. We've seen it up and down the field as the safety car is being followed. That cars are just weaving left to right, trying to hit some temperature and ready for when they need brakes to work. Tyres will grip as well.
As we come round into the final sector once more, we'll hopefully be going green this time round. We'll see if the pace car pulls into the pits coming out of the hairpin here. Does indeed. So it's now down to the leader, Dondalou, having held on to lead from pole position, will take us green once again as we head down to T1. Good start, looks like, from Ash Hill, who's already trying to make a move on Jacob Hine. Jacob defending the insider. Jacob getting past Ash Hill, I think that is, and will take P3, but Ash Hill going for a cutback, will get back to the inside, and they'll be side by side coming up towards the chicane, and they'll slot out a bit of a slide from Ash Hill there as they slide round. But Jacob in the slipstream, not quite able to close up as our whole field has made through clean. He goes for a dive, under braking to the inside for Jacob. Are they able to carry the momentum on the exit? Doesn't look like it, and Ash Hill will hold on. Gus Peters closing up as further back. Pavot has got themselves up to P11 ahead of Asker and Stevie Bain. Ben might also looking to get involved in that battle. And Frieza putting the pressure on Dondalou at the front of the field as these two already starting to break away from the rest of the field.
Yep, absolutely, and it is pretty much Ash Josh Hill, currently the best of the rest as it stands, with leading that third position. There's a bit of a train now falling behind him for that third position. And down the field, Pavel making winners as well after him doing that pit stop up to 10th. Has been able to pass a few cars. Put himself in a position where he can challenge for other cars ahead of him still need a bit. And it's not, there's also a question of if we do get anything, the safety car doesn't decide to make a reappearance.
Yeah, we've kept it clean. I believe Car had an issue, did go off on our restart, but jumping to the back of the field 16 seconds off the next car is actually heading into the pits to make their pit stop. Probably hoping for another safety car to make the time back up, as we see Ben Asker with a mistake into the wall coming out for the chicane. Will get going again, hopefully doesn't have too much damage there from hitting the wall.
It's not going to help his cause, those tyres will be screaming. He still needs to make a pit stop, but the longevity of his tyres will be in question as around the outside goes Adrian Wood. Alex Wood, should I say? I stand corrected. I say Adrian. Alex Wood around the side, outside of Toscano. Oh, he had a couple of big kahunas to do that.
Sure did. Slide, lost the rear end for Toscano, and it's right into the wall, or not into the wall, sorry, onto the grass. We'll get the car turned around and going again as Asker is into the grass once again. Drivers struggling with their tyres.
Whether they are still cold from a restart going around the track about 40 miles an hour instead of the usual 100 miles an hour they try to reach. That may be the question. They keep pushing a little bit too hard. However, Pavel doesn't seem to be faced by this. He's also going up and he can turn one once more on beams, bending beams. Makes better of it. He stays ahead for now. Yeah, it's a bit of a screwy run through turn one. Let's not open the door for James. There's contact, he's round!
Just let himself slide up into the door of beams, and that sells his car, lost the rear end, and is jumping back onto the circuit as similar to what they did on the opening lap. Unfortunately, that puts them back down to P12. All the ground that they made up, they'll have to do again, and Ben Beams with a spin by themselves at the right-hander, and Stevie Bain also going for a spin.
That is going to be awkward, and I think they do get going once more. Not pause for a safety car, that's fine, they keep on racing. Ben Beams now having to fight with Pavel. They're fighting previously, and they're fighting again. As see them reignite their battle for 10th position of recovery. Pavel actually for his inadvertent spin and after making contact with the driver we're following into turn 3. Another day. That's a massive slide from Fraser. Holy bejesus, turning that Stockcar into something from Tokyo Drift. Well held. It's not going to help his tyres. It's certainly not going to help his efforts to try and close the gap to the lead.
Yeah, would indeed have Toscano spun out of the final corner. Has to wait for cars to go past. And will get going again, but dropping to the rear end of the field. Let's head back to Pavot as we see in the background. Ben Beams losing the rear end through the right-hander. Again, more struggles. And we'll get going just as Stevie Bain catches up to them. We'll cut forward to Pavot, who's closing in and putting the pressure on Overstreet. Not for the first time this race. Trying to get that move done once more.
All right, two Americans. Overstreet and Pavot? They are, aren't they?
I don't believe. I don't think so.
Overstreet was American as well. Never mind.
Overstreet definitely is. I'm not actually too sure about Pavot, but what do I know?
Well, who knows? Well, Chris Overstreet, these stars, they make frequent appearances in the American style of these NASCARs, and although they do often turn only in one direction, we'll have to get used to making sure they can do left and a right. However, he's making it work for him at the moment. It's awkward to Pavel to make a move down to the final hairpin. Pavel sticks to the outside line. Probably try and get a better drive through the hairpin. Maybe try and get alongside turn 1, sticks in the slipstream. as we see pit stops galore. It's Peters, Kanoji, Hein, where something comes down on the climbing tower. Hein, Kanoji, Silver, Wood, and there's a fifth as well, I think. At least 4 of them going into the pits for mandatory.
I see pit stops. You can see who's been through pit lane and who hasn't. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the mandatory pit stop tracker is working so far. Car has been through 3 times already, but also noticed Ash Hill has got up to the back of our leading pair. I wonder if they've had some issue of sorts.
Well, that is a very wide car, Lord Fraser. Almost in fight. Oh, safety car. Interesting. When in the world was that triggered?
I'm not too sure, but I imagine that is why we've seen most of the field come through pit lane.
Yes.
As we're not too far from the halfway mark.
That is absolutely fair. And yeah, I'm not quite sure what that safety car was, what the cause of it was. We do have a safety car out on circuit for what is our second stoppage. Well, I say stoppage, second safety car period of the evening. Lap 1 and now lap 7. That's a complete guess.
Lap 8.
Hey, not too far away.
Close. But yes, our second safety car period of the race. As our field is bunching up once more. Hopefully it won't be too long of a period, though Car with their trips through pit lane have found themselves a lap down. Race control is up to race control's discretion whether they let lapped cars unlap themselves through this period, but it is not a given.
It's up to the discretion. I don't think we have lapped cars yet, that's the thing. Everyone's still on the lead lap. So it should be a case of just gathering the field, making sure whatever the reason was for the safety car has been sorted. Just waiting for the field to catch up with the back. There's a couple of drivers still going through turn 1, 2 and 3. So wait for those guys to catch up. So we might get one more racing up. There is actually a car going up ahead.
That is our lapped car, that is capped car.
Oh, was that lap car? It's incorrect.
Yes, so down in 16th place. They have unlapped themselves.
Cool. I definitely looked away for that. I did not see that.
So
yeah, we'll just wait for them to catch up back in the field now. That's going to be the thing. What everyone's doing about 40 miles an hour, 40, 50 miles an hour safety car's doing?
Let's see what the safety car is doing. We're doing 80 kilometers an hour at the back end of the circuit. We could see the safety car at the end of this lap as the rest of the field has bunched up. Car has got their lap back and are trying to race round to catch back for the field. Whether we wait for them or not is dependent, and actually I think we will probably wait on them as Ben Asker is now facing the wrong way under the safety car.
Oopsie daisies. Maybe took that tyre warming a bit too aggressively and unsettled the rear. Quite potentially. Gets going again. But the safety car is in. And we are racing once more. 23 minutes to go.
23 minutes to go, and Fraser immediately defends from Ash Hill. Looking to the inside and putting the pressure on as our field makes their way through the first few corners. We don't know who's on new tyres, who's on used, but Ash Hill is certainly getting racy. Looking to the inside, has to back out of the move on Fraser already, as there is some contact through the first couple of corners. But looks like everyone has got through cleanly. Pavot trying to make the move on over straight, has got it done. And over straight now, defending from Jacob Hein, and gets hit into the wall from Jacob Hein. luckily does get going again, but will have some damage from that. Drop down to P9 as Jacob Hine falls behind Zach Silver down to P7 and is trying to get past Zach Silver once again in a good spot. Instead out of the carnage and is now holding up a little bit of a train as our top 4 haven't changed from the safety car restart.
As it was. As we see the top 4 pull away from the rest of the field. But Viking still happy down the bridge.
Is indeed. Carry on racing as Alex Wood and Ben Asker have both had separate incidents. Alex Wood facing into the barrier on the exit of the final corner. Let's jump back forwards. Ashhill very aggressive off the start, but is now being put under pressure by both Gus Peters and Pavot. Not Gus Peters anymore, who's had a slide coming out of the chicane, hits the wall. Luckily ends up facing the right when we'll get going again, but will drop down to the field behind Overstreet. Luckily gets going again for Ben Matt. Comes up again someone else who might be finding themselves on the back end of the Zach Silver train. But putting pressure on Pavot now with Gus Peters spinning out in front of them is left to attack Ashhill. Thinking about a move to the inside, but not quite able to get there. Rear end sliding around, had to catch a slide there through the right-hander. Drops him back a little bit. And Ashhill gets a few car lengths to breathe. A little further back, Jacob Hine putting the pressure on Zach Silver. Stevie Bean has dropped back a little bit, as given Jacob sort of full focus on Zach Silver in front, no worry about defending. But we've seen how difficult it was in the first race to make a move, how difficult will be in the second race. Pretty much at about the halfway mark now. Just over 20 minutes to go. Still some drivers yet to make their mandatory pit stop. Our top 3, remember, have not taken a trip through pit lane. Everyone else has done so, as we have Ben Asker into the pits. So it'll be interesting to see a little further back. Kanoji making a move on Ben Matt through the first few corners. Ben Beams is going to try and follow through, looking to the inside towards the chicane, but very difficult place to go side by side. Does have to back out.
That was going to be a move of mistake. If he made it alongside there, the only thing that's going to happen is the car. Oh! Still the car spinning. Again, once more, sadly, finding himself coming at maybe a very unintentional, powerful right foot. I think he was there by himself when that happened. Oh, has almost had another moment as well there, going through that fast right-hander.
I think he's again struggling for rear tire temp. The tires with the first spin are just overheating, and Ben Maya has found himself into the wall on the back stretch of the circuit. Falls behind Alex Wood. As drivers are really struggling this evening. And look a little further up, Kanoji on the back of Stevie Bean. Stevie still sliding around. I thought for a moment he's going to go for another spin there with the rear end getting loose. But Kanoji's going to try and get a cut back, and with Stevie Bean struggling on the power, struggling for traction. And that allows Kanoji to pull clear before the start-finish line, let alone by the time they get to braking for turn 1. Stevie thinking about coming back with a move, but Sai thinks better of it in the braking zone. Will hold back for another opportunity as they try and get to grips with rear end. Look how much they're sliding it through the long right-hander. That's not going to be doing the tires any good.
So they're not racing their car, they're drifting it. It's not going to help at all. Either maybe just struggling with not having the right setup, or the tyres, he said, just overheating. Not doing enough grip to put the power down, and that is not going to help his cause.
Yeah, another spin into the right-hander at the end of the straight. He's going to get going again. We have another difficult race for Stevie Bean. We'll be looking to next week. But we look further up, back up to Jacob Hine and Zach Silver, still fighting away as we go on board with Jacob Hine, trying to find a way through. And that's Ben Beams has had a moment back end of the circuit. So has Stevie B in it once again, as Ash Hill drops a couple of places. I think they had a per place, or drops one place down past behind Pavot, who's got themselves up to P3.
What a recovery drive. Yeah, down leader. I think leaders haven't even stopped yet, have they?
They have not.
Also straight from Pavot if you can hold the third position. Under threat again from Ash Hill, trying to make it around the outside. It's not going to work. Takes a bit of grass for good measure. It's heading to lap 14, or about to go on to lap 15 actually. The lead cars not that far ahead of this battle. Leaders have not stopped yet as almost get into the rear of Pavot.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of contact there as Ashhill puts the pressure on, tries to get themselves back past Pavot, who's up into the P3 that they started in. But as I said, we're still waiting on a few cars to make pit stops. Was our top three, Ashhill, Friese and Dondler. They're just trying to go as fast as they can, break out as much of a gap. They're basically trying to bank on a safety car from here to the end, as Friese sets the fastest lap of the race so far as they try and chase down Dondler once again. Ashhill dropping back from Pavot a little bit now as they head through the opening sector. Field has spread out a little bit further behind us. As we were watching that, Jacob Hine has managed to get past Zach Silver and has pulled out a 1 second gap. And yeah, that's a point in time field, just a little bit spread out as we've seen quite a few mistakes up and down the field. Let's see how everyone's doing compared to where they started. Gudris so far from Kanoji, Alex Wood and Toscano making up a good few places.
Absolutely, but the most important thing is the leaders haven't stopped yet. First and second, can we see the graphic at all from the pit stop just to illustrate the point? I don't think the top two have yet to stop. So an early pit stop from Pavot on the first safety car period. This has helped him tenfold. These two drivers ahead of him still have to make a pit stop. When I say that, both of them die for the pits. But we have a safety car.
Yeah, that's because safety car is out on track. Not sure the exact reason why we have safety cars. Jacob Hine has spun under safety car. Luckily has already made their pit stop, but drivers into the pits. They seem to be stationary for quite a while here, so putting on new sets of tyres as they know they've already lost track position. Now the question is, are they going to lose as we see them come out almost side by side? Dondler will just about hold on to the position, and they'll come out in 5th and 6th place respectively behind Peters, Hines, Silver up to 2nd and Pavot taking the lead. We also have some more cars coming into the pits. Maybe they're thinking, even if they've done their mandatory pit stop, new tyres could be very beneficial to making up some positions. It could be a bit more vital than track position, despite how difficult we've seen overtakes be so far in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens. Pavot, I think, regretting maybe a pit stop. Oh, I can't this early for trying to get up into the lead. Maybe potentially may have wanted the lead to come in a different way instead of a safety car. He's now got cars behind him with fresher tyres by about quarter of an hour. It's going to be difficult. As we said, tyre wear up to the century times too. It's 200%. It's going to be difficult, I think, for Pavot. It's going to be a challenge. These guys behind him, having made pit stops sooner than him, sorry, later than him, should I say, will have the advantage of fresher tyres. But track position is always king. It's just a matter of who can get past him. I have a feeling it will be a bit of a roadblock fest for for Pavo, making that very wide Euro NASCAR, as wide as it can possibly be, to prevent anyone from passing him.
Yeah, the main challengers you'd have to think were the previous leaders, Dondolo and Fraser, both having taken pole positions this evening. Fraser in the first session, Dondolo in the second. Fraser won the first race, Dondolo not leading the second race with the strategy. 4 places for them to make up, but you can imagine Pavo is going to try and run away with this one, try and build out the gap as Dondolo and Fraser fight their way through past Peters, past Silver, who has dropped behind Jacob Hine. I think they've maybe taken their original position from when the safety car was called before they had that spin at the coming out of the final corner. Should hopefully have the safety car in at the end of this lap. Just got a few more cars, as you can see on the track map, to close in. But yeah, they should get up to the back before the end of this lap. And if not, then I would say that will just be their problem. And yeah, they'll well, at least from pushing, they'll certainly not have any cool tires. That this field that we're watching here behind the safety car might have those tires cooling down a little bit. Yeah,
absolutely. And indeed, there's been 22 racing points out in chat. Hopefully, you won't get any contact. That's all right. Safety car will shortly, I'm sure, be returning to the pit lane. The field is caught up. Everyone is ready to go. We'll see 10 minutes worth of racing. Oh, as P15 has, I think, had a spin. He's going to get going again. But Tijas having a bit of a moment. Drops to 15th, but I think we will be still seeing the safety car return to the pits as kind of Croft. I think what is P15 still going with an excursion. But the safety car has now pulled away. It's getting awfully dusk for the cars with no headlights. But regardless, they are going to get racing once more. Single file restart. 10 minutes to go. Pavo leads the way, but for how long on worn tyres? Gets a good gap away from P2, Jacob Hine. Zach Silver holding on in the slipstream. For now, everything looks okay. Everyone looks to have got through turn 1, 2 and 3 okay.
Yep, clean start. A little bit of a gap between everyone. We're not seeing any early moves. Dondolo has actually dropped back from Gus Peters by about a second, which isn't going to help them in their charge back up the field. They need to be making the most of these early laps before the tyres have the initial drop-off, lose the sort of initial advantage that the new tyre has, but it doesn't seem like they're going to take any advantage of that. The person attacking actually Zach Silver, who's trying to attack at Jacob Hine, thinking of going side by side through the quick S's here, but backside of it in the end, and through the right-handers towards the end of the lap. Not quite able to go for a move here, but certainly Zach Silver in a great place at the moment with it leading the ABS class once more. Also looking for some good overall points as well. Through into the final sector now. Cars bunching up through the technical section. No moves yet. Drivers struggling to find a way past. But I'm sure we will see some before the race comes to a close. This sort of bunching up is allowing Dondolo to close in. Dondolo closed in a good 4/10 on Peters through the final sector. You can see that gap is coming down nicely.
Indeed it is. It's now a matter of time, 8 minutes to go. It's actually enough time for Dondolo to get back up to the lead of this battle, along with North Fraser as well. They will fight it out and see what they can do, but no, they're just staying put. I do wonder, especially after the safety car. Oh, never mind. That is one place for free. It's Gus Peters having a spin, and he's going to stay there for a little while until a gap comes. He does find a gap. There's us talking about Dondolo making positions and making moves, and sorry, Gus, we may have just cursed you.
So Gus from P4 all the way down to P12 now. Not much time, 7.5 minutes to try and make some positions up. But of course it will have hurt their rear tyres, put some heat into them, overheated them a bit. We'll have to sort of nurse them back, let the tyres drop in, but still trying to push on to not lose more time. Close up to the cars in front and try and make some positions. But that's one less car for Dondolo and Friese to try and pass, as they're onto the rear bumper of Zach Silver, who has shown so far this tonight that they're not going to be easily passed. They're going to put up a fight. How difficult will it be for our race 1 winner from this evening, Friese, and our champion from last season, Dondolo, to make their way through the chicane car, sparking off the curbs as they...
Hein spun.
Good spot. Hein has spun off into the grass towards the rallycross layout. We'll get back going again. Has only fallen down to P6 this time, but still seeing mistakes from top drivers, and now only 2 cars separate Dondolo from winning this second race. 3 seconds though is the gap from Pavot to Silver, extending that lead in case Dondolo does get through. Dondolo now all over that rear bumper.
He's hunting, he's playing with his food at this point. I think Zach Silver knows the game's up. He's got a very fast car behind him. It's just a matter of Zach can absolutely defend. He has every right to. It's full position nonetheless. I have a feeling Dondolo will be wanting to get moved on Silver on later. He's also got Fraser also trying to make moves as well, and that's a very good run for Dondolo actually. Zach Silver gets away better. It did initially look like Dondolo had a run, but Zach Silver lives to fight another day, let's say.
Yeah, setting a personal best lap of the race, so taking the pressure and sort of absorbing it at this moment, going faster than they've gone so this race. But look at that run from Dondolo. A little bit of a slide from Zach Silver, and Dondolo is going to go to the outside as again Zach Silver defends the inside. Dondolo might be an pro champion from last season, or sorry, overall champion from last season, but does not mean that Zach Silver is going to let them have the win easily. Side by side into left-hander, and Dondolo actually backs out of the move there. That gives Friese a bit of an opportunity, but Friese decides to stay in line. All the while, Pavot now 4-second lead, as long as they don't make any mistakes, which is easier said than done as we've seen so far tonight. They are on to win this race. But the question is, can Silver, with 4.5 minutes remaining in the race, can they hold on to a second place overall finish for our AM driver? No reverse grid either, helping them to the front of the grid like we seen last season with one of our AM drivers. This is just a 40-minute feature race after a 5-minute qualifying session. Can Silver hold on?
Dondolo's trying that over under in the final hairpin. Zach Silver's just about got enough traction just to put the power down to pull ahead. He's got to figure out something else he can do, something else on a part of the circuit where he can make a move. Now I have a feeling going through this fast sector, waiting for the fast chicane to come. Does Zach have another wobble? He doesn't. I think the next opportunity, he does go into the grass, he's a bit of the momentum, goes defending. I have a feeling this right-hander is Dondolo's best chance. He can't do it in the final hairpin.
And actually had a little bit of wheel bang there with Zach Silver, and that's allowed Friese to get alongside. Will they go side by side through here? No, Friese just backs out. And look in the background, Ash Hill has caught up to the pair of them, and it's going to put them under pressure. So now Zach Silver focusing on defending, Ash Hill trying to attack, trying to take any advantages they can. Both Dondolo and Friese are having to defend while they try and attack the cars in front of them. It is not easy for them, but they will be trying their best as time is running out. It'll be very close on whether we get to, I think we're only going to get 2 more laps here, so time is running out for these drivers if they want to make a move. off the final corner. Once again, Fraser has dropped back from Dondolo with the pressure of Ash Hill. Ash closing in the slipstream. Is he close enough for a move into T1? No, doesn't go for one this time. Let's see.
Bravely did, but yeah, not close enough along the main straight. He's going to have to just tuck in and wait. The next opportunity will be turn 5 and the long right-hander. I think that's also an opportunity for Dondo as well on Zach Silver.
Defending the inside, Zach Silver as usual. Dondolo going for a cutback this time, it looks like. It's going to try and get the better traction, which they do, and they draw alongside as they head towards the S's. They backed out of this move last time, and they back out of it again. Time is running out. Will they commit to that move on the final lap if they can get themselves alongside again, or are they just going to play it safe, not take the risk? Because if it does go wrong, it could be down to 5th place at best, but if at worst, could be much further down the order.
Dondolo's now under threat from Lord Fraser around the outside. Lord Fraser's going to go. Is he going to make it outside, become the inside? He tries, he barges his way through. That's contact. Going into the final part of the circuit. And, oh, he's actually off. Fraser's completely off.
I think he got a tap from Ash Hill on the rear bumper, and that just spun the car around. We'll get going again. Jacob Hine gets himself up to P5. And we'll get going just before Kanoji catches up. But as we go up to the battle, yeah, tensions between our championship fighters from last season, drivers fighting over pole and our race victories so far. They've not found themselves in the battle for the lead at the end of our first feature race of the series, but they find themselves fighting each other, trying to hold control of their cars, fighting side by side, giving it their all. And Frieza finds themselves facing the wrong way round. Dondolo, with half a lap to go, is fighting not just to get past, but to close up, gets a twitch on the grass, picking wheel and grass, and that's going to allow Ash Hill to come through, and it's going to take the final podium position. A mistake on the final lap from Steady as they were fighting to close up to 2nd place, and they've given away a overall podium. But we look further forward. Pivot took an early pit stop on the 3rd lap of the race after entering the first safety car period with no option to change tyres since then, has held on to the wearing tyres and will come across the line to win the 2nd race of our British Stock Car Series. Pivot likely taking the championship lead potentially. Zach Silver will take the win within the AMS class and a 2nd place overall, with Ash Hill rounding off the overall podium. A last lap mistake from Dondolo sees them missing out on that podium. Jake Pine will take P5. Frieza contact fighting over 2nd place in the penultimate lap. We'll see them fall to P6. Kanoji will take 7th ahead of Alex Wood. Gus Peters in 9th. And Christian Overstreet in P10.
Right, we'll see 11th. Ben 11th as well. How nice. Toscano 13th. 14th will be Capit's car, the 14th position. 15th Ben Asker. And Stevie Bain. Actually, Stevie Bain a lap down. Sees the checker flag before P15. We'll see Ben come to the line for the final car to take the checkered flag. And that is week 1. All done and dusted.
What an eventful week 1 we have had. Strategy, safety cars coming into play. And
who was there capitalised? Hello. Such. I questioned it. I did question an early pit stop. He made it work though. Got the win out of it, so that's good for him. And teaches us commentators a lesson sometimes that speculative comments may not be very accurate, let's say. A good win for him nonetheless. As we see, Zach Silver takes 2nd, Hill 3rd, Dondolo 4th, Hind 5th, Fraser 6th, Kanoji 7th, Wood 8th. Peters 9th, Overstreet 10th. In 11th, Ben Myatt, Ben Beams, Toscano, Caput, Capitcore. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that name. Please do correct me. And if I am, and Ben Arskins, 15th, and Stevie Vane, all the way down in 16th.
Yeah, very, very difficult day for Stevie Bain. But hopefully next week he will be back on form when we head to
Where was it? Just
Castle
half of
Combe.
home, wasn't it?
First of our sprint races, we will have 3 20-minute sprints next week. First race will have the grid set by a 8-minute qualifying session. The second, a 4-minute qualifying session. And then the third and final race will be a reverse grid, taking the results from race 2, flipping them on their head, and going for one final 20-minute sprint race. Not as much strategy, more straight racing, said Castlecombe. Very fast track. We're running it without the chicanes as well, so we'll be plenty fast. Very short lap time. I think we'll possibly see laps sub 1 minute. But yeah, it'll be challenging for our drivers for the rest of our season, when we'll have Donington National for a second feature round. As we head into the second half, we'll start with the Silverstone GP, the 2005 edition, running the historic layout that misses out or takes faster layouts through the Abbey and Vale chicanes. That will be our 180-minute endurance race of the season before we head to the penultimate round at Thruxton, our second sprint round with Brands Hatch GP layout, finishing our season off with another feature round like what we saw today. Exciting calendar coming up. I've those 5 races to come. What takes your fancy the most, Aidan?
I'm a Donington fanboy. You know me. Round 3. I can't wait to see these things chucked around Donington National. It's going to be insane. I absolutely love Donington. I ramble about Donington all day long. But after this racing, these British stock cars race, I can't wait to see what they're going to do at Donington. 2 weeks today. Roll it and bring it on.
Yeah, bring it on indeed. So that's what we have coming up over the rest of our Tuesday series. Of course, we have plenty more racing for season 4 on oNiD. It started yesterday on Monday with our first race, the GT3 MPG on the Mon Ultimate. Still 65-minute races with GT3 cars in the Mon Ultimate, but this time with double fuel usage, hence the MPG title. That has certainly changed strategy up. We've seen a surprise winner yesterday. If you haven't seen that race, do check it out. Strategy was certainly king and a surprise winner. Built an alternative strategy that I didn't even think was on the cards. And if you've been watching our LMU series, you'll know I am usually quite on the cards when it comes to strategy. So it was a very interesting round. Tomorrow we have our second season of the Hound Academy, as inexperienced drivers, some new drivers too, come to the series. This time still with GT3 cars, but joined alongside by hypercars this time. Some drivers stepping up into the top spec machinery. A little bit quicker, a little bit more complicated learning the hybrid system. See how they fare tomorrow as they head to COTA, Circuit of the Americas. And then on Thursday, we have our iRacing GT3 showdown, a European versus North America fight. 3 car manufacturers from each region will be fighting each other, as in 3 races in America, 3 races in Europe. The first round tomorrow is at Daytona. So we'll have an American round tomorrow, on Thursday, where me and Ian will be joining you for that. And then on Sunday, we have season 2 or series 2 of our LMU 100 series. Ditching the GT3 cars, we have a full grid of hypercars, Pro and Am classes this time. The same great strategy conundrums. That will be at Coda National. Yes, the short layout for the hypercar beasts. See how they fare round there on Sunday before Monday will come back next week before we join you again on Tuesday. That's our schedule for season 4 over the next 6 weeks. Make sure you join us for some great racing. And yeah, that will be us for tonight. Before we go, any final words, Aidan?
Stock cars are incredible. I'm converted. Don't need downforce. Just need big, powerful cars with big, chunky tires, and on a thin steel frame. It's glorious tin top cars. Let's say.
They are indeed. We'll see you on Thursday for the iRacing GT Showdown, but hopefully you'll join us throughout the week. Until next time, take care. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.
Good night.